Have you ever noticed how the smartest people in the room are often the quietest? There's something strange about intelligence. We think of it as this brilliant, shining thing, quick wit, rapid-fire answers, the person who always has something clever to say. But when you actually observe people with exceptionally high IQs, you start to notice something else entirely. Something quieter. Something that operates beneath the surface like an iceberg, where the real mass is hidden underwater. Here's what's fascinating. Many of the habits that define extremely intelligent people look nothing like what we've been taught intelligence should look like. So what are these people doing differently? And more importantly, what can their habits teach us about the nature of thought itself? Habit 1. They embrace intellectual solitude. You see them at parties, standing slightly apart. At meetings, they're the ones who haven't spoken yet. And we misread this. We think they're shy, or disconnected, or maybe even arrogant. But here's the truth. Highly intelligent people don't fear solitude, they require it. The human brain is an extraordinary pattern recognition machine, constantly processing millions of inputs. But here's where it gets interesting. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for complex reasoning and deep analysis, functions best when it's not overwhelmed by external stimulation. Research in cognitive neuroscience shows that what we call deep thinking actually requires periods of reduced external input. Think about it. When was the last time you solved a complex problem in the middle of a crowded, noisy room? People with high IQs have learned something fundamental. Silence is not emptiness, it's control. It's the conscious choice to turn down the volume of the world so they can turn up the volume of their internal processing. They are not avoiding people, they are protecting their cognitive workspace. And this is where it gets complex. Our culture celebrates extroversion. We reward the quick answer, the immediate response, the person who fills every silence. But intelligence often works differently. It needs time, space, the freedom to follow a thought down unexpected corridors without interruption. When you observe someone with an extremely high IQ choosing solitude, you are watching them do something profound. They are choosing depth over breadth, understanding over agreement, insight over approval. Habit 2. They question their own certainty. Here's something that separates truly intelligent people from those who simply appear intelligent. They are perpetually uncomfortable with their own conclusions. You know what I'm talking about. That person who just gave a brilliant explanation, and then immediately says, "But I could be wrong." That scientist who solved the problem but keeps testing it. That thinker who achieved recognition but continues to doubt. The psychology behind this runs deeper than simple humility. Research on metacognition, thinking about thinking, reveals something extraordinary. The most intelligent people have highly developed internal monitoring systems. They are constantly running background checks on their own thoughts, questioning assumptions, poking holes in their own arguments. It's like having a relentless fact-checker living inside your mind, except the fact-checker is you, examining yourself. But here's what's really happening. This isn't insecurity. This is intellectual honesty at its highest form. The Dunning-Kruger effect has shown us that people with limited knowledge tend to be the most confident, while experts recognize the vast territories of what they don't know. Intelligent people live in that awareness every day. Think about the last time someone told you something with absolute certainty, no room for doubt, no acknowledgement of complexity. Did that make you trust them more, or less? Highly intelligent people understand that certainty is often the enemy of truth. Real understanding requires holding space for ambiguity, for multiple possibilities, for the chance that you might be fundamentally wrong about something you believe deeply. And maybe that's the real marker of intelligence, not how much you know, but how comfortable you are with how much you don't. Habit 3. They learn across domains. Here's where it gets interesting. Walk into the home of someone with an exceptionally high IQ, and you'll notice something unusual about their bookshelf. There's quantum physics next to poetry, ancient history beside cognitive science, philosophy mixing with evolutionary biology. This isn't random. This is pattern recognition operating at a higher level. The human brain doesn't store information in neat, separated categories. That's an artificial construct we invented for organizing schools and libraries. Your brain actually works through associative networks, neurons that fire together, wire together. And highly intelligent people instinctively understand this. They are not just learning chemistry or literature or music. They are learning how chemistry informs literature, how literature reveals patterns that show up in music, how music follows mathematical principles that echo throughout nature. Here's the truth. Intelligence isn't about knowing a lot about one thing. It's about seeing connections that others miss. Research on creativity and innovation consistently shows that breakthrough ideas come from cross-pollination, from taking a concept from one domain and applying it to another. Steve Jobs famously connected calligraphy to computer design. Einstein used thought experiments from philosophy to revolutionize physics. Darwin borrowed from economics to understand evolution. But here's what's fascinating. This habit isn't just about accumulating diverse knowledge. It's about maintaining cognitive flexibility. When you force your brain to think in different languages, the language of mathematics, of art, of nature, of human behavior, you are building stronger, more adaptable neural pathways. You are teaching yourself to think in multiple dimensions. And in a world that keeps getting more complex, more interconnected, more impossible to understand through a single lens, this habit might be the most valuable one of all. Habit 4. They delay gratification intellectually. Let me paint you a picture. Someone poses a complex question. Most people immediately form an opinion. They feel the pressure to respond, to contribute, to be part of the conversation. They grab the first answer that feels right and run with it. But watch someone with a high IQ in this same situation. They pause. They sit with the discomfort of not knowing. They let the question breathe. This is delayed gratification applied to cognition, and it's remarkably rare. You know the famous marshmallow test. Children who could wait for 2 marshmallows instead of eating one immediately tended to have better life outcomes. But here's what we talk about less. Intelligent people apply this same principle to their thoughts. They resist the dopamine hit of the quick answer. They tolerate the anxiety of uncertainty. They give their minds time to do the deep work of genuine analysis. The neuroscience here is compelling. When you encounter a problem, your brain has 2 primary processing modes. System 1, which is fast, automatic, and intuitive, and System 2, which is slow, deliberate, and analytical. System 1 gives you gut reactions. System 2 gives you understanding. But here's the thing. System 2 only activates when you give it time. When you resist the urge to answer immediately. When you sit in that uncomfortable space between question and response. Highly intelligent people have learned to trust this process. They've learned that the discomfort of not knowing is temporary, but the value of a well-considered thought is lasting. And this is where it gets personal. How many times have you regretted something you said immediately? How many times have you realized, hours or days later, oh, that's what I should have said. That's what I actually think. Intelligence isn't about thinking fast. It's about thinking deeply. Habit 5. They seek disconfirming evidence. Here's a paradox. The more intelligent someone is, the more actively they try to prove themselves wrong. This seems backwards, doesn't it? We think intelligence means being right, being certain, having the answers. But observe highly intelligent people carefully, and you'll notice something unusual. They are constantly hunting for holes in their own reasoning. They don't surround themselves with people who agree with them. They seek out those who challenge them. They don't only read sources that confirm their worldview. They specifically search for opposing views. When they form a hypothesis, their next move isn't to prove it right, but to test whether it might be wrong. The psychology behind this is fascinating. It's called confirmation bias, our brain's natural tendency to seek information that supports what we already believe and ignore information that contradicts it. It's one of the most powerful cognitive biases we have, and it affects everyone. But here's what's really happening. Intelligent people have become aware of their own confirmation bias. They've recognized this tendency in themselves, and they've built mental systems to counteract it. Think about scientists running experiments. They don't just run tests hoping to prove their theory correct. They design experiments specifically to falsify it. They're trying to break their own ideas. Because they understand something fundamental. An idea that survives attempts to destroy it is far more valuable than an idea that's never been challenged. This habit requires something difficult, intellectual courage. It requires the willingness to be wrong. The humility to change your mind. The strength to admit, I believed this yesterday, but the evidence shows I was mistaken. And maybe this is what separates wisdom from mere intelligence. Not how confidently you hold your beliefs, but how willing you are to examine them. Habit 6. They think in systems, not events. Listen carefully to how someone explains a problem, and you'll hear intelligence in the structure of their thinking. Most people explain things as sequences of events. This happened, then that happened, then this other thing happened. It's linear. Cause and effect. A to B to C. But highly intelligent people think differently. They think in systems. What's the difference? When you think in systems, you see feedback loops, circular causation, emergent properties. You understand that A doesn't just cause B, B affects A, which changes C, which circles back and transforms A into something new. Here's what's really happening. They are seeing the invisible architecture beneath visible events. Think about climate change. An event-based thinker says, carbon emissions cause warming. A systems thinker says, warming melts ice, reducing reflectivity, increasing absorption, accelerating warming, altering ocean currents, changing weather patterns, affecting agriculture, influencing economics, shaping politics, driving emissions policy, which feeds back into the original system. See the difference? One is a line. The other is a web. Research in cognitive complexity shows that the ability to hold multiple interacting variables in mind simultaneously is a hallmark of advanced intelligence. It's what allows some people to predict consequences that others never see coming. It's why they seem to understand ripple effects that catch everyone else by surprise. But here's where it gets complex. Thinking in systems is cognitively demanding. Your brain has to maintain multiple relationships, track circular causation, hold contradictions simultaneously. Most people's minds get exhausted just trying. Highly intelligent people don't just tolerate this complexity, they are energized by it. They see the interconnections, and instead of feeling overwhelmed, they feel illuminated. And in a world where everything truly is connected to everything else, this habit isn't just intellectual, it's survival. Habit 7. They maintain cognitive flexibility. Here's something you might have noticed. Truly intelligent people change their minds more often than you'd expect. They'll be arguing one position, encounter new information, and suddenly shift their entire perspective. Not gradually, not reluctantly, but quickly and completely. And this confuses people. Make up your mind, we say. Stop flip-flopping. But here's the truth. What looks like indecision is actually sophisticated adaptation. Think about it like this. Your beliefs are mental models, simplified representations of reality that help you navigate the world. But reality is vastly more complex than any model can capture. So the question isn't whether your model is wrong. The question is, how quickly can you update it when new evidence appears? People with high IQs have developed what psychologists call cognitive flexibility, the ability to switch between different concepts, to consider multiple perspectives simultaneously, to adapt their thinking to new situations. The neuroscience here is revealing. Cognitive flexibility is associated with the prefrontal cortex, particularly the dorsolateral prefrontal region. And here's what's fascinating. This region doesn't just help you change your mind, it helps you inhibit your first response, consider alternatives, and select the most appropriate strategy for each situation. It's like having a mental gear shift that most people don't fully utilize. But here's what's really happening beneath the surface. Intelligent people have learned to hold their beliefs lightly. They distinguish between their identity and their ideas. When they change their mind, they don't feel like they are betraying themselves, they feel like they are updating software to run more effectively. And maybe that's the marker of true intelligence, not the rigidity to stand firm in the face of new evidence, but the fluidity to evolve as understanding deepens. Habit 8. They cultivate selective attention. Here's where it gets counterintuitive. You'd think highly intelligent people would be interested in everything, absorbing information constantly, always learning, never filtering. But watch them carefully, and you'll notice something else. They are remarkably good at ignoring things. Not randomly. Strategically. They've developed what researchers call selective attention, the ability to focus intensely on what matters while filtering out what doesn't. And more importantly, they've developed the wisdom to know the difference. Think about your typical day. How many notifications do you get? How many news stories, social media updates, emails, messages, alerts, pings, buzzes, interruptions? Your brain is drowning in information, and most of it is designed to hijack your attention. But here's the thing. Attention is a finite resource. Every moment you spend processing irrelevant information is a moment you are not spending on deep understanding. It's cognitive bankruptcy by 1,000 cuts. Highly intelligent people understand this at a visceral level. They are protective of their attention the way some people are protective of their money. They know that saying yes to one thing means saying no to 100 others. Research on expertise shows that what separates masters from novices isn't just knowledge, it's the ability to rapidly distinguish relevant from irrelevant information. A chess grandmaster doesn't see more of the board, they see what matters more clearly. This habit requires something difficult: the courage to appear uninformed about things that don't matter. The willingness to say, "I haven't followed that story." The comfort with being ignorant about topics outside your domain of care. And in an age of infinite information, this might be the most valuable skill of all: not learning everything, but choosing wisely what to learn. Habit 9. They embrace productive failure. Let me tell you something strange about people with exceptionally high IQs. They fail more than most people. Not because they are worse at things. Because they are attempting things that most people wouldn't dare try. Here's what's really happening. They've fundamentally reframed their relationship with failure. Most people treat failure as evidence of inadequacy. I failed, therefore I'm not good enough. But highly intelligent people treat failure as data. I failed, therefore I learned something new about the boundaries of what's possible. The psychology behind this is powerful. It's related to what Carol Dweck calls growth mindset, the belief that abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. But it goes deeper than that. Intelligent people don't just believe they can improve. They actively engineer situations where failure is likely because that's where the most learning happens. Think about it. If you only do things you're already good at, you never expand your capabilities. The edge of your competence, that uncomfortable zone where success isn't guaranteed, that's where growth lives. But here's where it gets interesting. This habit requires something rare: the ability to separate your self-worth from your performance. To fail at something without feeling like you are a failure. To maintain your sense of capability even while acknowledging current limitations. Research on learning shows that the most effective practice happens just beyond your current skill level, challenging enough to require effort, not so hard that you are completely lost. Highly intelligent people instinctively seek out this zone. They are comfortable being temporarily incompetent because they trust the process of becoming competent. And maybe this is what courage really means, not the absence of failure, but the willingness to fail in service of something larger than your ego. Habit 10. They pursue understanding over validation. Here's the final habit, and it might be the most important. Highly intelligent people don't think to impress. They think to understand. Let that sink in for a moment. Because there's a profound difference between these two motivations, and it shapes everything about how intelligence expresses itself. When you think to impress, your focus is external. You are performing. You choose topics that make you look smart. You use vocabulary that signals intelligence. You structure arguments to win. You are playing a status game. But when you think to understand, your focus is internal. You are exploring. You choose topics because they genuinely puzzle you. You use whatever language clarifies the concept. You structure arguments to discover truth. You are playing a different game entirely. The psychology here touches on something deep about human motivation. We all have a need for belonging, for recognition, for status. These aren't bad things. They are fundamental to being human. But here's what's fascinating. Highly intelligent people have learned to satisfy these needs elsewhere, so their intellectual life can be free. They don't need their intelligence to prove their worth. They already feel secure in who they are. So their thinking can be pure, motivated by curiosity rather than insecurity, by genuine interest rather than the need to be seen as interesting. Research on intrinsic motivation shows that people perform best and feel most fulfilled when they are driven by internal interest rather than external rewards. And this is what you see in highly intelligent people. They are genuinely excited by ideas for their own sake. They'll spend hours exploring a concept that has no practical application, no social value, no way to monetize it. They do it simply because they want to know. Because understanding feels good. Because the act of learning is its own reward. And here's where we come full circle. Remember how we started? With that observation about how the smartest people in the room are often the quietest? Now maybe you understand why. They are not performing intelligence. They are not trying to prove anything. They are just doing the work of genuine thinking, and that work happens mostly inside, mostly silently, mostly invisibly to everyone else. These 10 habits, the embrace of solitude, the questioning of certainty, the learning across domains, the delay of gratification, the search for disconfirming evidence, the systems thinking, the cognitive flexibility, the selective attention, the productive failure, the pursuit of understanding over validation, these aren't tricks or techniques. They are expressions of a fundamental orientation toward knowledge itself. But here's what I want you to know. Intelligence isn't fixed. It's not something you are born with and stuck with forever. Every one of these habits can be developed. Every one of these patterns can be learned. The question isn't whether you have a high IQ. The question is, are you willing to think like someone who does? Are you willing to choose depth over speed? Understanding over agreement? Truth over comfort? Growth over validation? Because here's the real secret about intelligence. It's not about how smart you are. It's about how you choose to use your mind. And that choice? That's available to you right now. In this moment. With the very next thought you think. Maybe intelligence isn't a destination at all. Maybe it's just a direction, a commitment to keep learning, keep questioning, keep growing, keep moving toward deeper understanding. And maybe that journey, that endless reaching toward clarity, that refusal to settle for easy answers, maybe that's what being truly intelligent really means. The smartest people in the room aren't the ones with all the answers. They're the ones still asking questions.